Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
Hey, welcome into the program. This is Your Course to Retirement, brought to you by Cornerstone Retirement Partners, Grand Rapids resource for a common sense approach to planning for and handling our financial, investment, and retirement outlook. CFP Ron Corser, founder of the firm, is here with us as always. And Ron, we appreciate your time and guidance.
Good morning, Peter, and good morning to everybody who's listening to our program, either on the way to church, I hear that a lot, or hunkered down in your cottage somewhere where you're safe and in lovely weather. So we're going to talk about an interesting subject today. It's part of the whole financial universe that we need to talk about, and that's something called annuities. We're going to dig into them a little deeper. Those of you driving, please don't stop and take notes. You can always go to our blog, which will have parts and all of this available on our website, which is cornerstone-rp.com. That's cornerstone-rp.com. So before we start, I was reminded, just thinking about these things, how sometimes, maybe you've never done it, I'm probably the only one who's ever done it. I read something, I get enough knowledge about something, and that's all I want to do anymore. I've got all the information I ever could want, and I go out and make a decision and do something about it. So it kind of ties in with what we're going to talk about, but it goes back to when my son Matthew and my daughter Jennifer were young. And I thought it would be a really good idea to teach them about growing things. So I did a real quick study. Back then there was no internet. I had to actually go to the library and get a book. Boy, that was a strange experience. We don't do that anymore. Well, anyhow, I just, I said, get some seeds, dig a hole in the ground, plant the seeds, water them, and it's going to be hunky-dory. You don't have to worry about anything. Well, we decided to plant carrots and cucumbers. And we dug a pretty good hole, planted the cucumber seeds, dug a pretty good hole. I didn't realize that carrots don't grow really well in a hard base of clay, but we dug down about 6 inches or so. And we planted the seeds and we watered them diligently. And the kids went out there every day, every other day, and looked at them. Sometimes I did too. And lo and behold, things started to grow. And then for some reason, as I recall, I lost track of everything. And I was cutting the grass in the backyard. And all of a sudden I realized there were cucumbers in my neighbor's tree that was by our fence. There were cucumbers in the lawn. There was, in fact, one cucumber that had gone, we had a cyclone fence. It had actually grown through a hole. And there were cucumbers everywhere. And I didn't really know what to do. I was absolutely surprised because when I read the seed package, they never said that on the seed package, that these things will grow every which way but loose. So we did harvest some cucumbers, but I frankly ran over more with the lawnmower. And my neighbor pulled them out of the tree too. Now with the carrots, we planted carrots and we all like carrots. And because we planted them in soft ground, but there was basically a pretty hard clay soil underneath it, we had these carrots that were about 3 inches in length. They were little stubby carrots, and they came up the end of the summer, beginning of fall. And that was my experience with farming, with growing things. I made one other attempt about 10 years ago to grow tomatoes on my backyard on the porch. And, we put them up there. And interestingly, nobody ever told me, this is another example of thinking I can just read the label. The best judge of when tomatoes are ripe, I found out, are raccoons. Because as tomatoes were getting ripe, and I was thinking, next couple of days, I'm going to pick them. I woke up one morning and they were all gone. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Raccoon and assorted raccoon children. So that's my experience with reading directions and trying to farm and stuff. So what does that have to do with what we're going to talk about today? Sometimes we can get just enough information about a particular financial strategy or a particular financial product that enables us to think we know just about everything there is to know. And sometimes we make a decision based on that, and we find out later that that wasn't exactly right, or maybe we needed a little more information, or maybe we needed somebody to help us figure out the right way to plant a cucumber bush and carrots and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about annuities today. Why would I bring that up? Because there's a place in the great financial world for annuities. And annuities are kind of like your weird Uncle Charlie. You know, when growing up in a small coal mining town in Pennsylvania, population of about 1,200, it seemed like every family had a weird aunt or uncle that you kept in a cellar, and you brought them out on Saturday, aired them out, kind of hosed them down, let them walk around the yard, and then you put them back in. That's how we took care of weird aunts and uncles. So what we're going to talk about today is annuities. I'm going to do kind of a deep dig in them. Now, why would I bring it up? I'm a certified financial planner. I operate under the Fiduciary Standard, which says I'm really obligated to do what's in the client's best interest. And if anybody ever hauled me before the court and the judge asked me a whole bunch of questions, I had better be able to prove that the information I put forth was accurate and based on what the client was looking for was in their best interest. So let's talk about annuities. Number one, what is an annuity? In the simplest form, how I describe annuities is that an annuity is nothing more than a savings account with a life insurance company. If you think about this, if you have a brokerage account with somebody, you have a 401k, you have an IRA, you have a taxable investment account, you have money at the bank. In the simplest form, those are all savings accounts, are they? We put money in there hoping that the money will grow, and then we can pull money out to supplant our income and things when we get to retirement or moving along into retirement. So look at everything as a savings account. So an insurance company is the only kind of company that can create or manufacture annuities. And there's a wide variety of annuities. But what do annuities do that perhaps make them unique? The number one thing that an annuity contract does, and it's a contract that you create in connection with a life insurance company, is that it can be structured in a way to provide income in retirement for as long as you live. Even if you live to be 150, it's like a private pension plan, except with a pension plan from a company, if you and your spouse, if you have a joint survivor income option out of that, if you both die, that account basically goes to zero. With an annuity properly structured, if there's money left over when both the husband and wife die, the money goes to one of the children or whomever that designated as the beneficiary. But first and foremost, an annuity contract is a savings account with a life insurance company that's designed to do one thing extremely well, and that's to create a stream of income in retirement that you cannot outlive. That's what it does. Now, is it perfect? No. Are there any perfect investments? Bing. Nope. The answer is no, there are no perfect investments. Every place you can ever think about putting your money, whether it's in a 3-pound coffee can in the backyard, you bury it, or you go out and buy all the Bitcoins you can possibly get with all your life savings. There's risk, there's uncertainty, there's things that all of these things do well and there's things that they don't do well. So there's no perfect investment. The key to retirement, and we've talked about this a lot on our program, is how much income can you generate in retirement from all your life savings? That's the key. It's not about the lump sum, although that's somewhat important. But the real key is how much income can you generate in retirement to make sure you have enough income in retirement to retire. And an annuity might be an option for some people. So we're going to talk about them. And some people say, well, I don't understand them, but what do they do? Number one, certain kinds of annuities can protect principal. They can protect income, and they can provide some measure of growth. Now, one of the key questions people always ask is, well, what should I be doing with my money? And that's a great question. What should I be doing with my money? And the answer to that question is another question. I'm not trying to be cute or anything like that, but the answer is another question to that. What should you be doing with your money? The key question to that, the answer is, what do you want your money to do? Really simple. What do most people want their money to do? They want it to grow. They want it to grow tax deferred, make withdrawals tax-free, and have all the principal guaranteed. That's the perfect investment. Ladies and gentlemen, if I ever find one of those, I will be on the radio worldwide announcing what I've just discovered. There is no such product. There is no such strategy. You just got to go with the flow sometimes and create the best conglomeration, if you will, of different investments or strategies. So what do you want your money to do? Most people, if they really hone in on the retirement plan, they want their money to generate enough income in retirement so they can retire and maintain their lifestyle. And an annuity might be appropriate for that purpose. So let's take a look at some of the things some people have said. And if you have an interest in this and you want to know more about it, you can tune into our blog on the website, and it's www.cornerstone-rp.com. Or you can call our office at 616-301-2581. We can provide you information that you can study up on with annuities, what they do, what they don't do, when they work, when they won't work. And it's a way to educate yourself, because there's something good about them, just like every other kind of investment or place you can put your money. So give us a call at 616-301-2581, or check out our website, cornerstone-rp.com, and just say, I need some information, I want to talk, and we'll help you with that. So one of the things that we always hear, that I hear sometimes when folks come into our office for the first review, I always ask them, what have you heard about annuities? Well, I heard they're no good and I hate them. And then I say in a very nice way, well, I understand that. I've heard that before. What are the reasons you hate them? Well, I just heard they're bad. Okay, what else have you heard? Well, nothing, I just heard they're bad. And that's a great starting point to kind of say, are you open-minded enough, or can we take a look at what these really do or don't do for a person? Because it may be something that's appropriate for you and it may not be. But what's the harm if we investigate it? People can say, I hate stocks. Okay, I get that. What is it you hate about stocks? Well, I can lose money. Well, that's pretty rational. You can lose money in a lot of places. You can go to the casino. I've never heard anybody say, I hate the casino. That's interesting. I just thought about that right now. Most of the people say, well, I go to the casino, I know how much I can lose. And invariably, that's exactly the amount of money they leave there as they go out. Anyhow, I digress. So what do annuities do? One of the things that they do really well, and sometimes people get aggravated about it, is that they can provide protection for your money. What's to hate about protection? Certain kinds of annuities, they are called in our industry fixed annuities. It's jargon, that's all it is. FIXED is a principal protected product. Now, legally, you can only use guaranteed in two places, with FDIC insurance and with principal protected fixed annuities. There's no other place somebody in my profession can use the word guarantee when it comes to your principal. So let's clear that up. So annuities provide protection for your money. Is that worthwhile? Well, it can be. If people don't like to lose a lot of money, are annuities appropriate for all your money? Absolutely not. Just like mutual funds are not appropriate for all your money, and stocks are not appropriate for all your money, and bonds are not appropriate for all your money. And creating a retirement plan, there's a lot of places you can put your money, a lot of buckets, so to speak. And you have to take a look at everything that makes sense for you, that lines up with the kind of investor and the kind of person you want, and how you answered that key question. What do I want my money to do for me? So let's take a look at some of the things that go on here. Break down different kinds of annuities. There's a fixed annuity. That's the simplest form of all. If we think about this, Peter, Social Security is a form of an annuity. It's called an immediate income annuity. If you have a pension, those of you listening to today's program, from a company, an employer, and you're getting lifetime payments of some sort, that's another great example of an immediate income annuity. And I've never met anybody who hates Social Security or a pension plan. So all of a sudden, there's a little slice in the annuity world where you can't hate those, okay? So we're kind of peeling that away a little bit. And then there's fixed index annuities, there's variable annuities, and it's the variable annuity which creates a lot of the angst and problems probably with annuities. Think about it this way. A fixed annuity is a substitute for the old-time bank money. That's how we use it in our firm, and I think that's the right way to use it. Fixed and principal protected annuities, whether it's an indexed annuity, call it what you will, is not a substitute for stock market investing. It's a substitute for the old-time bank money, where if they, had a CD, they paid 4, 5, or 6%. You put money in there, you'd make a lot of interest, and they'd probably give you a toaster or a waffle iron for doing it. Variable annuities, which are nothing more than it's an annuity contract, has mutual funds in it. You can see the fees and things like that. That is simply another option for investing in the stock market. So everybody listening to today's program, you kind of have to, in part of your brain, you have to separate this now. You have to separate, there's a kind of annuity that's just another option for investing in the stock market. There's another kind of annuity, which is another option for bank money that used to pay a higher level of interest than they do today. So we have to kind of look at that, all right? So variable annuities have higher fees. They do cost some money. Fixed annuities don't have that. So the question becomes, what do I want my money to do for me? If you answer that, I don't want to lose, but I need income, perhaps working with an advisor who's open to saying, let's talk about annuities. Let's talk about what they do well, what they don't do well, because they're not perfect, and how it might fit your whole overall income plan in retirement. That's an important thing to do, because most people don't want to lose money. So we're going to focus more today on the fixed annuity, not the variable annuity. That's just another option for stock market stuff. We're going to focus on the principal protected fixed annuity. So if you want more information or you want to talk about how this works, give us a call at 616-301-2581. 616-301-2581. Be more than happy to talk with you. You can go to our website, cornerstone-rp.com. Put in your information with your question, and we will get back to you within 24 hours. That's a promise. Probably even faster than that. So here's a key question. Is an annuity right for you? How do you know? Well, you kind of have to ask that same question about everything when it comes to investing in your 401k plan, IRAs, and everything else. Is this particular thing that you're going to put your money in, is it right for you? How do you make that determination? Number one, what do you want your money to do? Number two, how much risk is involved in this? Risk means how much money can I lose in it? See, when it comes to investments, when it comes to where to put your money, there's only two kinds of money if you think about it. One is protected, guaranteed, and the other is at risk. It's really clearly simple. So what's guaranteed in life? You have guarantees, FDIC insurance with all the bank stuff, money markets, checking accounts, CDs and things like that, and also fixed annuities. What's not guaranteed? Everything else. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, variable annuities, Bitcoin, wherever you want to put your money. So once you make that separation in your brain, then you can kind of say, well, if I'm going to consider using an annuity as a tool, it's just a tool in my retirement plan, how does it work? How will it benefit me? That's where working with an advisor, a firm like us, we don't discount anything. I go over this a lot. As a certified financial planner and investment advisor, I'm held to what's called the Fiduciary Standard, which is the highest standard in the industry. It simply says that I have to do what's absolutely in the best interest of the client. I better be able to prove it. So if I have to do what's in the best interest, how is it I can absolutely exclude a whole category of places where a client may put their money in retirement to do something that makes sense for them? See, I don't do that. We don't, in our firm, we don't make a distinction between, oh, these are good, these are bad, these are terrible. What we do is make a distinction that says, tell me what you want to do. Tell me what you want your money to do, how much income you need in retirement, and let's create the best, most solid way to give you what you need. That's where taking a little time to talk about annuities might make some sense for folks.
Yep.
So if you're interested in this, please give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, cornerstone-rp.com, and make contact with us and we'll get back to you. Again, this always goes back in my brain to, in retirement planning, do you want to deal with it the way I did with cucumbers in our backyard that went all over the place and we really didn't get to harvest very many of them? Or do you want to do it as a farmer might do it, who knew what he was doing, which when it comes to growing stuff, I'm obviously not the go-to guy, but I think we're pretty good when it comes to investing and creating income for people in retirement. So annuities do one thing extremely well. They create income in retirement that you cannot outlive. And why is that important? Because most people retiring, the fears that they have a fear of, oh boy, am I going to be able to really retire? Even though they think they are, way down deep inside behind their belly button, they're always not sure because they've never been retired before. So they're just learning how to do it. But the other part is, am I going to have enough income in retirement? Most of them phrase it, I don't want to run out of money. What they're really saying is that I need enough income to maintain my lifestyle, and am I going to have it? That's the key question. So what do annuities do? One of the things they do is they can provide that income throughout your life. It may be properly structured with certain annuity accounts, even give you increasing income over time, almost like there's a COLA, a cost of living adjustment for it, which is a great thing to have with your firm. So you can do that properly structured. One of the things we do when we talk about this with folks is, as I just go into my education world, I put on my teacher hat and I say, let's just take a look at what annuities are, how they work. It's kind of like what somebody would do, trying to figure out if they're going to fix their bicycle for their child or something like that. They might have to go and take a look at something that says, this is the way you take a look at it and how you evaluate it. So that's what we do. And one of the first things we find is that annuities will protect your principal, which is really key. The second thing is fixed annuities can be structured in a way that can give you not only income that you cannot live forever, but income that potentially can be increased. And it also gives you the opportunity to have some growth. You're not putting it in a 3-pound coffee can and bury it in the backyard. Now, keep in mind, principal protected fixed annuities are a substitute for the bank money. And as a fiduciary, Peter, if I had the opportunity to tell people, look, the bank down the street is paying 5% on a CD, wow, I would have to say to that person, you need to put some money in the bank to get that 5%. And maybe they'll give you a toaster. But that simply isn't happening today. I don't know when it will happen. Perhaps if we live a long, long time, those kinds of things will come back into play, but I don't know that. All I deal with now is where we are. So it's a substitute for bank money. It's principal protected. What else can it do? It can be used as a foundational account for your entire retirement plan. Now, it's not right for all your money. Please understand that. Please understand that. Nothing is all right for all of your money. I've seen people that have all their money in the risk and they're absolutely happy to go up and down with the market. The problem comes, and we've talked about it before, is if you have a retirement life savings and you're taking money out of it for income. Let's say you have $1 million and you're taking $40,000 out, that 4% rule. Well, you have a market correction, say of 20%. We had one last year of 30% when COVID hit. We've had those things before. So all of a sudden you take a 20% hit and now the million is down to 800,000, but you're still drawing out 4%. Now the withdrawal rate you're using is 5. And there aren't many people who will look you in the eye and say, don't worry, be happy. You can take out 5% out of your account forever and not run out of money. That's dangerous talk. It really is. So one of the things it can do is it can put a floor in. So it can be the foundation of your whole retirement plan for a portion of your money with that principal protection. So if some of this is kind of ringing a bell and say, wow, maybe I need to learn more about annuities. Maybe I need to learn more about generating the kind of retirement income I need in retirement, give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, cornerstone-rp.com. Put in your questions, say I want to talk to somebody or I have a question, and we will get back to you within 24 hours.
Well, if I like how you started this out, Ron, by saying that all options that are out there and available have both benefits and disadvantages. There are pros and cons, and part of perhaps the confusion about annuities specifically is that they seem to be all lumped into one description, one category, when in fact there are multiple different types of this. And we really need to ask ourselves what we want or need our money to do for us in order to determine the best approach and what options out there may be either appropriate or inappropriate for our goals, for our situation. And ladies and gentlemen, to have a certified financial planner and a fiduciary planner with that responsibility to your best interest on your side as you are making these considerations and becoming more educated about your choices and options certainly can be beneficial. Ron Corser and the team there at Cornerstone Retirement Partners do offer to help you put together a plan for your retirement. The Course 2 Retirement Plan will help you evaluate where you are, get a snapshot of your current situation, a discussion of your goals, documenting those, and then from that qualified, experienced professional team, recommendations on how to work to achieve and accomplish those goals, along with subsequent recommendations on if there are specific products or strategies that you could utilize that would increase the odds and the chances that you do increase those goals effectively. If you would like to get that plan put together, the Course to Retirement Plan, pick up the phone and give a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. There is no cost. There is no obligation for that. It is simply the process of getting your financial and retirement plan put together and in writing. And then you can evaluate moving forward after that, how to proceed and progress. So again, 616-301-2581, or visit the website, cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. There are a lot of common myths about annuities. They are much widely misunderstood. So when we come back after the break, let's talk about some of these common myths about annuities and continue the discussion of what they can do well or what they do not do well for us, and therefore helping us to make better decisions about whether or not they are appropriate for our situation. With CFP, Certified Financial Planner and Grand Rapids Resource, Ron Corser, here on Your Course to Retirement when we come back after the break.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow. Visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
And welcome back into the program. This is Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Resource for a common sense approach to planning for our financial, our investment, our retirement planning and future. He is founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners, CFP, Certified Financial Planner, Ron Corser. And today we're talking about a specific type of product, or actually a category of products, annuities. And typically, Ron, you talk about the plan takes precedent and priority over any products that would be included in the plan or considered. But today, talking about the specific category of annuities, because there's a lot of confusion about them. There are benefits to them. There are disadvantages, and oftentimes the water is muddied on what we have as far as a clear understanding about them. And I guess that to put it lightly, but We are going to continue the conversation, and there was a recent article about several myths that pertain to annuities and misunderstandings. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get your course to retirement put together, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. An annuity may or may not be part of that plan. It's got to be specific to what you want your money to do for you, but we can't completely shut the door to any financial option that could help us to achieve certain goals that are important to us. And I think that's the overall emphasis of what you stressed in the first segment of the program, Ron.
Yeah, one of the great myths that we hear is that a lot of times when we hear people talk or they write an article on an annuity, they lump all the annuities in the whole world together. And basically, you can Google annuities, and you could Google it with more specifics. Annuities, are they good or bad? And you're going to get thousands of responses. And
Millions, probably.
The key always is who's giving you the information and what is their motivation. So sometimes people will Google these things and they'll see a bunch of articles written by people who don't use them in the practice, can't stand them because their business model doesn't go with them. You'll read other articles by people, a lot of times, particularly with academics, they deal with annuities at the variable annuity level mostly, not always. And they don't consider the issue of principal protected fixed annuities. So a lot of times you're not getting a wide variety of information. And I'm the first to say that sometimes getting too many points of view can be just as confusing as not getting enough. But a lot of times people say they're bad simply because A, they don't have a vested interest in offering to the clients, B, they don't understand them, or C, they have some other motivation involved here that involves perhaps using different kinds of investment strategies with the market. So, like I said before earlier, annuities are neither good nor bad. It depends on how you're going to use them. And it always gets down to what is it you want your money to do, and is it going to work? So sometimes just like using the wrong tool. You know, I had to go to Home Depot last week, and it's a really scary place for me because I only know how to use about three things: a screwdriver, duct tape, and a hammer. And the other stuff really causes me to sweat.
But you can accomplish like 95% of all jobs with just those three tools.
Duct tape is a marvelous thing to have. You know, I've seen whole cars duct tape going down the road at 80 miles an hour, so it's pretty good. But my point is this, is that if you use the wrong tool for the wrong reason, how can you expect to have a good outcome? So that's why understanding what an annuity is and how it works makes such great sense. So you can have a bad income with an annuity because it wasn't used properly. One of the great examples you'll see if you Google enough information is some life insurance guy sold a little old 78-year-old lady who had $150,000. They put most or all of her money in the annuity because it was protected. Yes, it was. But it has limited liquidity, meaning you just can't go in and get all your money out as if it were in the bank. And then 3 months later, she ends up going to a nursing home. There are surrender charges on annuities, and they pay a horrible price. That's the wrong account for the wrong purpose for the wrong lady. It was wrong to do that in the beginning. But that doesn't mean that all annuities are bad or good. It just says that one person that time didn't do right by that little old lady. So you have to be aware of what they are. They're just a tool. So another myth is, you know, there's other options that'll do just as well as an annuity. And here's my response to that. Yes, if fixed annuities, principal protected annuities, the insurance company does use a derivative strategy, if you will, to make sure they protect the downside. They'll use options calls, things like that, to try to earn interest. They buy in these things in bulk. These options are expensive, but when you buy them in bulk, you keep the price down, basically. Now, as a financial advisor, I could create for you a strategy that would be designed to protect your principal on the downside using an option strategy. But let me tell you this, it wouldn't be 100% guaranteed, no matter what I did. It wouldn't be 100% guaranteed. And it would probably be more expensive than what the insurance companies could do it for, because they're bigger and they can buy in bulk, so to speak. So the thing that there's other ways to do what an annuity will do. I'm not sure that's 100% true. It could be 92% true or 87%, I'm not sure. But if the key is I want to protect my money and I want it to give me income that I can never outlive, the simplest, most cost-effective way to do that is with a principal protected annuity. Plain and simple. And it's not right for all your money. So we have to use that as a caveat that said it may be appropriate for a portion of your money. A third one, annuities are expensive. Here's where this one gets all convoluted on. And a lot of times it's based on variable annuities. Variable annuities can pay a commission and also have internal charges of anywhere from 2 to 4%. So what that means is that if you put $100,000 in there, a financial advisor probably earned a commission, but then there's ongoing expenses for any number of items and options. That can seem pretty expensive. And particularly if you think about a variable annuity is nothing more than another substitute, another option for investing in the stock market. So the one thing a variable annuity will do is create lifetime income, but you pay a pretty good price for that. You just need to be aware of those things. I have rarely met anybody who had a financial advisor put some of their money in a variable annuity. I rarely have met somebody who knew all the charges and costs. We know the questions to ask, how to do that, how much they were earning, really earning in these things, and why it wasn't working as well as they thought it would be. We're able to uncover that information. And most times people go, wow, on a $100,000 investment, there's a 3% is coming out of that thing. So they get the first 3,000, I get whatever's left. So I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, because properly used for a Wall Street kind of stock market based investing product, that might be appropriate for a portion of the market-based money that you have.
But Ron, when we're talking about annuity myths here, and the myth is annuities are expensive, that may or may not be true then. It's just not categorically true across all annuities. Some may have virtually no costs or expenses, where others can be more expensive than what you believe is appropriate.
It's a good point to make, and it's important to always understand, and I stress this with folks when we talk, nothing in the financial world is free. Nothing is free. There's a cost to everything, whether you're putting money in a money market fund, or whether you're buying a variable annuity, or you're buying Bitcoin, or you're having a managed account with a fee of anywhere from 1% to 3%, depending on what some of the wirehouses charge. There's a cost for everything. So there's nothing free in life. There's no zero charge for this account, even though sometimes people will say that. They say, well, I'm not paying anything for it. And we dig into it, we find there is cost. There's cost in commission-free mutual funds. There's cost. So everything has a cost. And the question is, it's important to know the cost, but the real question is, does that cost generate value for you? Is it worth it? You know, right now we're going through in my own life, we're trying to figure out how to get a generator, one of these gas-fired generators that turn on automatically. There's a lot to consider. And importantly, everybody needs to know, based on my statement earlier in the program, that I know how to use a hammer, a screwdriver, and duct tape. There's a lot for me to try to know. But I already made a decision that I'm not going to get involved in the real nitty gritty. I have to trust somebody to do that. I just need to know a couple things: what it's going to cost, what it's going to do for me, when will it turn on, because nothing's perfect. What do I have to be aware of? And then I'll make a decision as to whether the commitment for service, because that's an important part of what this is going to be. Are you going to service this, Mr. and Mrs., or whoever I'm going to work with? It's the same with investing. Are you going to get the service you want from the advisor or the company you're working for? You're going to pay for that, but are you going to get more value for it? And it's a decision everybody has to make. So you have to say, is our annuities expensive? It's one of those depends things. Some cost more than others. The issue is, are you going to get what you need out of that to have a good retirement, have that in a good retirement plan in retirement to give you the income? So we're looking at that. Another issue is, these fixed annuities, and there's a variation of it called an indexed annuity. The returns are not attractive. Well, let's go back to the basic premise here. Fixed annuities, whether they be pure, just simple fixed annuities or fixed index, are substitute for bank money. They're not substitute for the stock market. So it depends on what you're comparing it to. If I compare what's happened to Bitcoin in the 12 months with investing in an S&P 500 fund, the S&P has dramatically underperformed.
Right.
Does that make the S&P fund that I own or clients own bad? I don't think so. But it depends on how you're rating it and what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing a fixed annuity or fixed index annuity to bank money, it comes out very, very positive. It's really a good option as long as it meets some of the other criterion that you need. If you're going to compare it to the stock market, you're always going to be disappointed, but that's the wrong comparison to make. So one is for bank money, the other is for the stock market. So another myth, and if anybody's interested in really digging into this, give us a call, because it's interesting what people find when we take them through just kind of the education segment when we talk about annuities. A lot of times they go, oh, I never knew that, or, oh, that's interesting, or, oh, that's not as bad as I thought, or, oh, this is worse than I ever heard, but they know for sure. So allow us to do that. Give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, cornerstone-rp.com, and we can help you.
Well, Ron, particularly with that last myth there, that the returns are not attractive. It goes back to how you opened the premise of this program, which is, what do we want our money to do for us? And the question that people ask is, they ask you, what should I do with my money? And to arrive at that conclusion, you've got to determine what they need or want their money to do for them. If we're talking about Bitcoin versus the S&P, or a stock or a stock market return versus a fixed rate of return in a savings account, whether it's offered at a bank or at an insurance company, that rate of return is tied to risk. So if we are getting a higher rate of return, it often also indicates that we're taking a higher level of risk. For instance, Bitcoin versus the S&P. Bitcoin tends to fluctuate much more widely, more volatile, much more quickly. And so the rate of return temporarily could look better, but you also have to be willing to accept that risk of losing money and getting a negative rate of return, which could be very significant. And therefore, as you are talking about these rates of return specifically with a product where you can use the word guaranteed, there is not a risk of loss of principal, we shouldn't expect those rates of return to be quite as high as if we are taking risk of loss with our money, right?
Well, yeah, we should, but the normal human response is, I want growth and I don't want any loss. Another way to look at this is, over the past, through this year, bonds have really struggled with interest rates going up. Most of the bonds, not all bonds respond exactly the same way, but when interest rates go up, bond values tend to go down. That's not necessarily true with a fixed annuity. So sometimes in trying to say to people, well, we need to put a downside or some kind of foundation in your portfolio, in your retirement plan. We used to be very open to using bonds because they were reasonably non-volatile if they were selected properly and would generate some interest. Well, the 10-year bond is not paying, I mean, it's only paying what, 1.5% right now? That's not a lot. But there's volatility in the bonds, meaning you can lose money in a bond. In a principal protected annuity, You can get a defined interest rate that sometimes is better than a 10-year treasury bond, but there's no risk of loss to principal. So sometimes fixed indexed annuities or fixed annuities can be a pretty good substitute for the bond portfolio of somebody's account if they're open to learning about it and to using it. So it always gets down to, what does it do? Does it do what I want it to do? How does it fit my entire retirement plan? And am I going to be comfortable with it? And I tell people really directly, I joke with them. I said, look, if you're waiting to get 28% out of this principal protected fixed index annuity, you are going to hate me because it's not going to happen. But guess what? When the market goes down 30%, you're not going to get that either. And for a portion of your retirement plan, it might make some sense. So it pays to investigate it. It pays to sit down with an advisor who will kind of go into an education mode and say, let's talk about what this exchange traded fund does. Let's talk about how this works. Let's talk about how annuities work, so that you have the most information in front of you to make a really good decision. And I really believe that if we provide our clients or potential clients with information they need on any particular subject, they're really capable of making a great decision for themselves, because they'll understand the risk, they'll understand the return, what's protected, what isn't, and how it works. So doing that is really interesting. And he gets to the topic of, annuities are too complicated. Here's how I respond to that. Mutual funds are complicated. Just read the prospectus.
Right.
When you get a mutual
200
fund,
pages of nothing that I
there's
understand.
all kinds, and somewhere in the back, it's going to say principal's not guaranteed. It has to say that. So they can be as complicated or as confusing or as simple to understand as we make it. Some have a few more moving parts than others. And it's just important to understand whatever it is you're looking at, whether it's a simple fixed annuity or an index annuity, what is it you're really looking at? And are they complicated? I don't think so. Do we have to get into the real down nitty gritty? Well, if you're not going to do that on a mutual fund, why are you going to try to do that on an annuity? Because they're both complicated. They're both interesting how they're put together. So we try to make it as simple as possible so you understand the mechanics, understand how it's going to work, under what conditions, and on what conditions it won't work. And remember, when a fixed annuity doesn't work, all that means is you didn't earn any interest for the last year because the markets went down, and you didn't lose any principal or any previous year's gains. Sounds like a reasonable option for some of the money.
Not a bad deal. Yeah. Yeah. And then, Ron, if I'm not mistaken, we can actually begin to grow again as everybody else is sort of recovering from that bottom, just to get back up to where they were prior to a market downturn or loss.
Yeah, that's a great point. If we think about it, if you would have had a CD paying 5% in the year 2000 and it was a 5-year CD, remember in 2000, the market went down 52%. You didn't experience that, did you? If you would have had a CD paying 6% on Labor Day, 2008, a 3-year CD, you didn't lose any money, but the market went down 51%. So fixed annuities kind of have the same approach to the world. You're not going to beat the market on the upside because they're not designed to do that. Where they shine is protecting your principal and providing income that you cannot live down the road. So that's something that's always important to take a look at. So is an annuity right for you? It gets down to a really simple question, isn't it? What is it you want your money to do? And are you open to learning more about how to invest your life savings to give the result that you hope to get? Sometimes people say, well, I don't believe in annuities. I don't believe, an annuity is a form of life insurance because it has a guaranteed death benefit. And when the IRS says, or the Treasury Department says, anything with a guaranteed death benefit is a life insurance product, people kind of get, oh my, I don't like life insurance. They say, I don't believe in life insurance. I don't believe in annuities. I'm not sure I believe in gravity. I've felt it, but I've never seen it. It's not a question of belief. It really isn't. there's only one thing you really have to believe in. And everything else is just kind of opinion. So whether you believe in something or not, to me is always an interesting question. It said, let's learn more. Let's increase your understanding about what's going on with what you're thinking of buying or putting into your retirement plan. Because it may be right for you, it may be right for a lot of people, and then for some people it may not be. Now, you always have the right, and I always stress this, you always have to say, no, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. And I'm good with that. I mean, that tells me that we've explored something pretty clearly, and you've made a really good decision for yourself that you don't want to do that. As your financial advisor, I'm not going to lead you there. I'm not going to do what you don't want to do unless I really think it's going to be really hurtful down the road. And then I will tell you that, because that's, I think, what you expect of us. So whether it's right for you, wrong for you, good for you, not good for you, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We'll get into that, everything you wanted to know, but we're afraid to ask about annuities because there's an outside chance you may kind of like it. You know, you may think it's of value for a portion of your retirement life savings. So get on our website, cornerstone-rp.com, or give us a call, 616-301-2581. We can be a great resource for you, ladies and gentlemen. We can help you make good financial decisions. So give us a call.
616-301-2581. Ron, you started the program with saying that every financial option can do things well and then has things that it doesn't do well, has pros and cons, benefits and disadvantages. We've talked about the things that certain types of annuities can do well. Could you maybe spend the last minute or so talking about what should eliminate an annuity as a decision? What do they not do very well?
Well, number one, we're going to stick with fixed annuities to answer that question. Okay.
Okay. All right. Again,
So,
several different types of annuities.
So what doesn't it do well? One of the things you have to understand with all annuities, and in particular fixed annuities, is that if you put money into them, they're not 100% liquid. What does that mean? Generally, if you put money into them, let's say you put $100,000 into them, and it's a relationship. I hate to use that word with some people, but it's a relationship with an insurance company. Let's say it's for 10 years. You can take out 10% of what you put in, sometimes even that first year. So you always have access to some of the money, but it's not something where you can just go in and say, just sell it all and send me the money, because with surrender charges on that, because fixed annuities, they take all the cost of creating that and they amortize it over a period of time. So what it doesn't do well, it's not perfectly liquid. Now, they do have, all of them have these, what I call the catastrophic options. Number one, if you end up having to go into a nursing home, they give you all the money back. Number two, if the doctor looks at you and he says, you know what, you got to get it together here, maybe you got a year left, they give you all your money back. So you do have, when the catastrophic thing happens, you do have some options, but you know, it's not totally liquid. So that's sometimes people think is a downside. But what I tell them is it's not right for all your money. You know, if you have $1 million portfolio, you pick how much you want to put in there, but we're not going to put it all there. This piece is designed for income. It's not designed for growth, and it's not necessarily designed for you just taking out chunks of money out of it. It's designed to give you income. So hopefully, if you have an emergency, you got to buy that vintage Maserati for $70,000. You know, you take it out of a different part, the stock market portion of your account. So that's one downside. Another downside is that you may not be happy with it. And why do I say that? You know, God made us really unique. He really did. We're interesting creatures. We love it when the stock market's going up. So we can have the stock portion of our portfolio can go up 25% in a really great year. And we have this annuity over here that maybe it only made 7. And we go, oh my goodness, this thing isn't performing, because we forgot why we did it. Remember, if you were my client, we did this to put a foundation on your portfolio. It's not going to go up with the market. You can make some money on it, but it's designed to keep your principal protected and to give you income. So sometimes people get aggravated, and it's a normal response. But on the other hand, when the market goes down 20%, they kind of like it. You know, they didn't lose any money. They kind of like it. So that's another little quirk here that we have to always address.
Well, again, benefits and disadvantages to everything. It all is determined by what you want or need your money to do for you and how these tools fall as part of the comprehensive plan. And if you'd like to get that plan put together, that's where the priority lies. The products will be answered and addressed as part of the planning process, but certainly something to consider there. And if you've got questions or concerns, or again, would like that course to retirement, pick up the phone, give Cornerstone Retirement Partners a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go online, cornerstone-rp.com. Lots of great resources available there as well. Ron, we always appreciate your time. Thank you for being here, for providing guidance, and an area where the waters are muddied and there's a lot of debate on both sides. So thanks for clarifying and giving us your stance and opinions on annuities and what they can, will do, or won't do.
Well, I hope everybody's enjoyed this. Just keep in mind that you're created uniquely by the living God. So there are things that are unique to you, and there are things that will work well for you. You just need somebody to help you sort through all of that, and that's what we can do. So give us a call, 616-301-2581. Other than that, you guys have a great Sunday today. Bless you.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.